Since I got here in February 2022, we've been particularly spoiled for challenges. We've had no shortage of them. So the first thing that comes to mind is the question of energy prices. Already before 2022, starting from late 2021, we started to notice spikes in energy prices. And of course, the conflict in Ukraine has only served to exacerbate the problem. And I think that while they have settled down to some extent, they're still well above pre-war levels and still above the level that makes Europe able to function competitively. So that remains a struggle, and we saw it particularly, but not only in the primary aluminium sector, where we saw major curtailments, and the sector still hasn't recovered to the level that it was at. The second thing is obviously the war itself, which, in addition to the awful impacts in the place itself, has had implications for industry and people all around Europe. And obviously we're still dealing with that and all the uncertainty that comes with it, because it's not clear how or when that situation is going to be resolved. In addition to all this, we are dealing with international competition. Aluminium is a very global market, and it means that Europe's competitive situation is determined by how we perform relative to other parts of the world. We deal with regulatory obligations in Europe that many of our global competitors don't have, and that's as it should be, in the sense that I think the work being done on climate and on energy policy is important and non-negotiable. At the same time, we have to deal with the fact that this is a global market, and so we need to strike an appropriate balance between regulating industry as it needs to be, but also making sure that we're able to compete, because in the end, aluminium that's produced here in Europe is going to be the cleanest in the world. From a policy perspective, we're about to enter a new 5-year policy cycle at the level of the European Union, and this can be a cause for optimism, because I see a shift, at least in rhetoric and tone, in the way Europe is talking about industry and about the aluminium industry. We see, I think, for the first time, a recognition that pursuing climate policy divorced from the realities of the needs of industry, it has its limits. And I want to stress again, we cannot abandon the work that's being done on climate. It's fundamentally necessary. The fact that industry is struggling doesn't make it any less fundamentally necessary. The physics haven't changed, so our work on climate is there and needs to be done. At the same time, I think it's been understood now that we need to reconcile that with work on keeping our industry competitive. I feel for the first time a real ambition at the level of the European Union to confront that reality and to build a policy framework that corresponds to it. So we have an opportunity in the next 2 years or so to really shape this new policy cycle and see that we get a framework that allows us to walk and chew gum at the same time, frankly, to take on both of these massive challenges without abandoning either one or the other. So we can talk a lot about the things that we want from policymakers, but of course we also have our own homework to do. I'm really proud that last year we published our science-based decarbonization pathways. This was a really instructive exercise for all of us, I think, because it did two things really. First of all, it showed that there are pathways to achieving these goals. We see how we can do it. We see what the major technical innovations that we're going to need are. We see what we need from others in terms of policy. One of the things that's quite clear is that there are pathways to get this done. European aluminium can be decarbonized, but that needs some things. First of all, we need the continued decarbonization of our energy mix, particularly on the side of the power grid, but also when it comes to applications, thermal applications, where we're currently using natural gas. We will need solutions to those problems, and we cannot develop them entirely on our own. They will be the result of collaboration with our partners in the wider energy sector. But second, we have work to do at the level of our own installations. And for that, there are new technologies that will need to emerge. I think we broadly see what they are, and they're described in detail in our paper. But we know that that's going to require serious investment, serious ambition. While we'll have a big part of the job to do ourselves, we will for sure need public support like any other industry taking on such a massive transformation. But it's really exciting for us to see the pathways starting to become clearer in front of us, and now we simply need to hurry. As part of all that, of course, we will ask for a policy framework that supports these ambitions. I don't think that there's any tension between a policy framework that's ambitious on climate and energy on one hand, and one that supports the ambition of industry to remain competitive. So all in all, I would say that after a very challenging 2 or 3 years, we are starting to feel some green shoots of optimism for the years to come. One thing that's very clear to me is that we won't do any of this on our own. European Aluminium is a community, and our cooperation with our members and our partners is fundamental to everything that we do, and that of course includes our Polish members. So I'm really sorry that I couldn't be with you physically today, but it's great to know that I can count on the Polish Association, that we can, and I want to make it clear that you can count on us as well.